So first of all, we need to create a new composition. Let's call it glowing text, and we need a text layer. Then we can bring it down to the center. Then we can right click on this again and pre-compose. Let's call it text and move all the attributes to the new composition. And then we can right click on this and apply a gradient overlay, and we can change the colors of the gradient. Then we can right click again and apply an inner glow, and in the inner glow we have to change the blend mode to soft light, opacity to 100%, and the size to 40, and the color to black. So this is the difference that it made. Now we can right click again and pre-compose and move all the attributes to the new composition, and we can call it text pre-comp. Okay. Now we need to make this layer a 3D. What it does is that it allows us to rotate this layer and move it in 3 dimensions. Okay, so we can look at it from all the dimensions, from any side and from any angle. So if I show you from the right camera, it's so on the right that it looks like a very thin layer, and because it's a thin layer, we of course need to make it 3D. We need to add some thickness to it. For that, what we will do is that we will use its Z position and create multiple copies of it and place them at a distance of 1 pixel. So we go to its position. We have 3 values: left, right, up, down, and back and forth. So we will use this position, this Z position. And first we need to separate this dimension. We right click and separate dimensions. Now we have 3 different properties for each of those position axes. Now we hold the Alt key and click on this clock icon, and we type a simple expression, index. This is the index value of a text layer. This is basically its position in the composition. So the index 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have 5 layers. That's why they are all at a position of 1, 2, 3, 4. So what we'll do is that we will just create multiple copies of it, and it will automatically place them at a distance of 1 pixel and give it a thickness. Okay. And now if we look through the camera, we have a thick layer of text. We can turn off the camera and look from the front. Now on the first layer, we can right click and apply another inner glow, and in this inner glow we set the color to white and the opacity to 50%. And now if we look from the camera, it looks much better because we have a clear distinction between the corners and the thickness on the sides. So now we don't need this camera anymore. This was just to look around in the composition. Now what we can do is that we can select all these layers, right click, pre-compose them, and we call it 3D text. And one more thing, we can go back to this composition inside the pre-composition, and we have all these layers. And on the last layer we need to apply a Gaussian blur in order to create a glow effect. Gaussian blur, and what it does is that it fades the layer and create a glow effect. See, so the last layer is faded into glow. Now we can go back to the main composition and we can see this is how it looks. Now this layer also needs to be 3D, so we make it 3D, and now we have 3 different rotation properties. And now if we rotate this, well, the thickness is gone because we did not check this icon. Do not forget to check this one. And now we can rotate this as a 3D text, right? Initially we need it to be 0. Now for the background we need a texture, so I used this texture. You can use any texture that you find on Google or from any site on internet. And we also need a black solid to make this this texture a little darker. So we need black background, it's black color. Okay, and we place it below all the layers. Let's hide these two for a while and create a new ellipse shape. Take it to the center, and we again apply a Gaussian blur to this shape as well. So this is the background. Now if we turn on the texture, it is very bright and we don't want that. We can set the blend mode to overlay, and we change the opacity of this gradient layer to 30%, maybe 40. Okay, now if we turn on the text, it looks much better. Now we need to create an animation or movement. We make these two layers 3D and we connect them to the 3D text, so that if we rotate the text layer, these two layers will also move with it. You can add the keyframes to create your animation. Now why do we see this texture on this text layer? Well, let me explain that. If you go to the text, 3D text composition, if you look at the position of these layers, the Z position, this is the position of this first layer, which is 1, and the position of this second layer is 2, and the position of this sixth layer is 6. So this is the front and this is the back side, and we are looking from the front side. That's why anything that is 0 at the 0 position will appear to be above all these layers. And if we go back to the main composition, the position of this texture layer is 0, which means that it will appear in the front over this text layer. That's why we see this texture first and then we see the text layer. So that's why we get this texture on the text.